And we're going to be seeing two of the more older standing decks in the Genesis format right now. So we've got RIO on Darklord, and then we have JANOS on Monarchs. Very, very interesting here. So the Darklords will utilize the strategy of the Power Patrons, not directly all the new Pendulum monsters, because obviously they are not legal in Genesis. However, the Power Patron spells allow you to search out a Dark Fairy, which is exactly what the Darklords want to be, and that's exactly what we're going to see RIO be doing here.
And all this draw power through the Darklord strategy, it will generate so much advantage to RIO, and I believe that we have already seen two cards that can, you know, find the point to bring Darklord in this tournament, meaning that both Herald hand traps like Herald of the Orange Light and Herald of the Green Light are very, very strong monster effects that can be utilized without having to spend any points into your deck building.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of counteracts the premiums of Ash Blossoms and Infinite Impermanences, and sometimes the Maul Charmies as well. And we're seeing Jehuti resolve here, so such a great start. And this is what I love about the Darklord strategy, specifically in Genesis, is that you can't access your Link monsters, because again, they're not legal, but you still get the ability to utilize cards like here. And what we're going to be seeing is we're going to be seeing RIO give his opponent the Golgollet, because then once we try to resolve the Fusion spell card, we're actually going to be able to use the Darklord monsters on our opponent's field to create our own Fusion monster. And the other benefit is if you leave them with a monster, such as a face-up token, which we might see here, we may also see cards like Lightning Storm, Infinite Impermanence, those premium cards that could be utilized by JANOS, not be anywhere near as effective, because already having that monster on the field stops them being utilized from the hand.
And you already called it, Darklord Dance has been activated in order to utilize the tokens to Fusion Summon into Darklord Evening Star. One of those cards that, can I say that Darklord have one of the coolest arts in the entire Yu-Gi-Oh's you know, field and decks, because it kinda reminds me one of those nostalgic cards like that also has been released in the latest set. For example, the Sacred Beast and all these cool artwork that remind me of, you know, the core childhood memories.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting actually to see if RIO, obviously it looks like they've stuck towards the Power Patron approach, but you mentioned Sacred Beast. I think Sacred Beast could actually be utilised in this, and you could turn the Darklords themselves into a bit more of an aggressive rank 10 approach. But we're going to be seeing just giving a cap on what's happened. We've had Ghost Ogre be activated on the Darklord Morning Star, sorry, and that was then destroyed, but we still were able to set one trap and one spell from the Darklord lineup. We're going to activate the Contact to bring it back into rotation, and that's quite important because this is one of the Darklords that has the effect to pay 1,000 life points, and then you replicate one of the effects of a Darklord spell or trap in the graveyard without applying its cost. And a good old classic Lightsworn monster here being Minerva. It looks like we're going to be seeing RIO trying to send some cards from the deck to grave. I will be surprised if we see many Lightsworns here, but being able to get some Darklords,
Wolf maybe,
that would be very, very, like, that additional draw. There we go. Super duper polarization and the Herald of the Orange Light. So no draws unfortunately, but I can't imagine that's exactly what RIO was trying to achieve at that point there.
So what do you believe it was the point to bring Minerva here? Meaning that Darklord can trigger when they hit the graveyard, right?
Yeah.
And it was quite unfortunate that, for example, a Golgollet hadn't hit the graveyard from the effect of Minerva, for example.
Yeah, that would have been really, really good, because then that gives you another direct search for any Darklord card. And I think it's very important with Darklords that when you try and end your field, you want to try and end your field with multiple Darklords that can pay that 1,000 life points to replicate, which is exactly what we're seeing here with yugioh entering the field of play. And that's going to allow RIO to replicate one of the cards in the graveyard. Even though the Darklord cards themselves can only be activated, or the spells and traps can only be activated once per turn, when you replicate their effects, you're not activating those cards, you're just applying those effects. And it looks like we're going for the Sanctified Darklord, which will be a target negation, and that's going to give RIO a little bit more in addition to the trap card that he's already set, which I believe was Rebellion, which is a non-target destruction, backed up by, as you've already mentioned, those Herald cards. This is looking quite interesting for JANOS. But
however, we play against Monarch, and we have already given a monster, right?
I was about to say the exact same thing. We've actually helped our opponent out here. I wonder if Rio
He just realizes.
Yeah. I mean, because usually when you see no extra deck, you kind of have the assumption that it might be Monarch, but sometimes you get so caught up in your own plays, you don't even look and notice that the extra deck's not there for them. And it looks like we are going to be revealing the Urbus, grabbing ourselves, using Tenacity, and this is going to get us a bit of advantage here as well. And I believe Rio might be considering using Herald of the Green Light. No, it looks like we're resolving here.
So we go for Pandemonium here, probably, or Stormforth.
I love Stormforth as a card. I think it's such an incredibly powerful card for Monarchs. I wonder if JANOS expects the Herald of the Green Light, because sometimes you can forget cards exist in the game when you don't see them for a long time. You're like, oh, didn't even consider Heralds. But then we saw Rio put one of the Herald of the Orange Lights in the graveyard through Minerva, and straight away that might let you go, oh, okay, they exist. But green is something that very rarely is sometimes considered as well.
Yeah, just to be fair, when you enter an event like Genesis Championship and you see against Furry, for example, you kind of expect your opponent to utilize both Herald and green, orange and green Heralds. However, as you said, when you play, sometimes you forget for center cards, and since we have only revealed orange Herald of the Orange Light in the graveyard, JANOS may forget about, as we mentioned, Herald of the Green Light that will be activated immediately to the Stormforth.
Yeah, so this is something that you want to try and do as a Darklord player as well. You want to make sure that the Darklord Morningstar is put into the graveyard, because when you replicate the dance, it will banish them from the graveyard. So you want to get like the double use. You want to use it as that discard kind of outlet, but then you also want to use it as the fusion material. So you try and make sure that you don't banish it from the hand directly. And I think that's what we're seeing here. And then we're also going to be getting, I believe it's Scheming of the Monarchs. More of the more recent card additions to the Monarch strategies are all really good as well.
And what are we sending? And finally we find access to one of the most famous Monarch cards, Pantheism of the Monarchs. So we can banish this card from the graveyard, reveal 3 Monarch spell trap from the deck, and our opponent chooses 1 card to add to the hand. However, if we reveal the same 3 copies, RIO will need to eventually just give 1 copy to JANOS.
Yeah.
And this is the case. We reveal the 3 same copies, and RIO is just playing with JANOS. He was trying to decide which copy he will provide.
Yeah, so grabbing hold of the Monarch's Revolt. Again, all the new cards are really good because it started to address some of the consistency issues that Monarchs had. And now you've got more ways of being able to get either your lower tribute requirement Monarchs that are 2,400 and 1,000 defense, or you can start getting your Squires, which are actually really important to get you ticking. But there is still that Golgolet. That Golgolet could actually be more important than any of the Monarchs we can search here, in a sense of just having that free tribute fodder on the field could be massively invaluable.
And right now we are revealing 3 monsters with different names. We are not required to showcase 3 monsters with different names. We can also showcase 3 with the same name, but what's JANOS I think that he's doing right now, and I want to talk about the mini-mine game. Like, if you don't have 3 copies of the card that you want to add to the hand, it is better to not showcase, for example, 2 copies and 1 other card, but rather have unique copies of cards showcased, so RIO doesn't know eventually which copy you want to add eventually to the hand.
Yeah, good approach. It looks like Rio's going to be giving Telesia the Primal Squire. So this is one of the more recent ones that we received as well. It's actually a really good extension card as well.
Yes, this is one of those cards that bring Monarch quite to the modern way of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! So you can reveal 1 Monarch spell trap in the hand, special summon this card from your hand. During your main phase, you can immediately have this effect resolve, tribute summon one monster. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense from your deck. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, but obviously we don't have an extra deck, so this is not quite a downside of the card.
Yeah, I feel that Rio's approach here was probably to stop JANOS where it's all possible get into a bigger Monarch. We already know that there is the Erebus in the hand, so we've destroyed the Gold Gullet that we gave JANOS previously. We've then replaced the Darklord we discarded for the Rebellion, and we still maintain that Rebellion effect in the graveyard. So if Rio wants to constantly keep JANOS off of monsters on the field, maintain that resource, we can do that quite easily.
And we still have the Herald of the Orange Light in the hand, right?
Yeah, so that's why it was very important to get rid of the Gold Gullet, because we had to replace the discard in the hand for the Herald that's going to be required. So we do have a couple of trade-offs here. So there's two cards in the hand. I suppose it's just now a bit of a game of maths of do we negate, and it looks like we know both the cards in the hand. So at the moment, the Telesia will give the summon, but you still need, well, you kind of still need two for the Erebus, but the Erebus can reveal to, if you get the field spell, which is the most costliest point in Monarchs as well, 50 points apiece for the
domain, right?
Yeah. So I think Rio's in a good position here that if we can limit the two monsters entering the field of play, the Erebus never enters the field of play itself, and we should be able to do that with one Rebellion plus the activation of the Herald of the Orange Light as well.
So your game plan will be to just get rid of the two extra deck monsters and just activate domain and try to lock your opponent, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I wonder if Rio has already read through this line and is trying to prevent from such an event.
Yeah.
And finally, Herald of the Orange Line will be activated, and I think that's game.
Yeah, very well piloted there from Rio. Was able to kind of really limit JANOS's field presence, and JANOS tried very, very hard on that one as well. There was a lot of very good intricate pieces that were utilised. One at Stormforth trying to get a bit of an advantage by using Rio's monsters instead. Rio kind of really held his own there, held back the green light at the right time, orange light at the right time as well. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see what is going to be coming in here. I wonder what it's like, because Darklords and Monarchs are decks that have been in Genesis for a while now, and they've kind of like circled the edges. They've not been decks that have dominated the meta or anything along those lines, but they've always been a fairly consistent feature. And a lot of players that we've seen recently in the past previous rounds have jumped on or presented with the new decks that we've received in Chaos Origins. So I wonder if Monarchs were a consideration at the back of Rio's mind, and if Darklords were at the back of JANOS's mind here on this one. It'll be very interesting to see which side pieces we bring in to give us the advantage for game two.
What would you play if you was attending the event?
Good question. I mean, I do love Darklords. I love the strategy, and as you previously mentioned, the artwork of them is very, very fun. But I'm also, I was saying this with Alberto previously, I'm also very partial to Sacred Beast. So maybe, just to be very, very creative, to see how far I could get with Sacred Beast Darklords could be very fun.
I mean, imagine winning game with Uriah on Raviel, right?
I think the fusion monster is incredible as well. Like 5k monster that can negate 3 times. Yeah, it's so. I do really love the new cards, but yeah, just even GX kind of theme as well is very, very fun.
I like Blitzkrieg, to be honest.
Yes.
I mean, it's quite an option also for the TCG Advanced format, but in the Genesis especially, I really like the fact that it's such a good strategy going first, but going second, it is one of those decks that really can adapt to any field.
If you had to pick one, like, so a lot of people go to Wesker. Wesker's kind of like their go-to. That's my favorite Blitzkrieg. I quite like the idea of Crackle. Do you have like one that you're like, oh, that's a...
I will be quite basic and say Search, to be honest.
Can't go wrong with a good old-fashioned Stratos-esque card that really works.
And destroys a monster.
Yeah, as if you wanted to upgrade Stratos a little bit more.
What more to add, right?
Yeah, I'm excited to see more Blitzkrieg this weekend, whether it be on Genesis or Advanced, as you mentioned as well. That would be a very interesting strategy to see. But I can imagine JANOS is going to go first here, so it'll be quite interesting to see with Rio what we get.
My only problem with Monarch it is that it's obviously depending on the domain, right? If domain hits the field, it is one of those cards that can really provide trouble to the opponent. However, as we have experienced in the Genesis format, players really like to side cards like Cosmic Cyclone or Twin Twister, and I would like to see how JANOS has prepared for this event and how has found ways to protect the domain.
Yeah. So using Tenacity right away, going to be revealing the lower level, the 2,400 and 1,000 defense Urbis on this one. Kind of a good approach. This was another one of the new cards which really did ramp up everything. Eidos, sorry, not Urbis. Eidos, the Underworld Monarch. So on normal special, you get to add a Monarch spell or trap from the deck, or a monster with 2,800 and 1,000 defense. So straight away, that is how you're going to get access to a card as premium as Domain and the Monarchs, currently being 50 points on Genesis. And also using Pantheism here, discarding the card to draw 2 fresh new cards as well. And that is possibly one of the first side cards coming into the deck on this one from JANOS. So this is one of the, again, another one of the good old-fashioned Monarch cards that very rarely saw play, but did used to dip in and out of formats as well, which is quite nice.
Pantheism feels like a card that has recently released. However, it was released a decade ago, right?
You make me feel old now.
All of us.
I remember the structure decks of Monarchs. They were great. And then how the Monarchs... What I loved about the Monarchs is how it evolved as well. Is it went from domain control Monarchs, but then it also started to open up to extra deck Monarchs. And that was something that was so kind of crazy to consider, that a deck that was based off of not having an extra deck started to use an extra deck. And it performed just as well, if not better, than the control version. And it was nice to see this deck shift between aggressive and defensive very, very easily.
And I mean, this is one of the things that I really love about Yu-Gi-Oh! It's that a deck can potentially be released to the public for a specific reason, but find a way to evolve, right? For example, a Monarch has, you mentioned, a deck that when you read the cards, you understand that you have not a way to play the extra deck, since you want to always have the domain on the field. However, it finds a way to utilize extra deck monsters and bring some light with Caius. The OG Caius hits the field, and the applause from RIO and from anyone, I think, that watches the stream right now. Yeah. It's such an iconic move, right?
Yeah, the fact that it bridges itself into Time Wizards as well, it's just an ageless Monarch that honestly constantly keeps showing it, and RIO there just kind of reading the 2 additional Monarchs that are in the graveyard now. Does look like JANOS has gone through, I believe he's got like one or 2 cards left in hand, and RIO has already traded off the Herald of the Green Light on this one as well.
I mean, Thessalos also could be potentially good here.
That could be very, very prominent.
Can I say that, obviously, Caius, it is one of the most iconic Monarch monsters, but I always loved Ryza. I don't know why. I really like the effects that you could utilize the draw of your opponents in the next turn.
Yeah, that kind of...
and Skullmeister. But we are only with 2 cards left in the hand.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned that RIO really starts to lose resources, and Darklord, it is one of those decks that, in order to pop off, needs some cards in the hand. You cannot utilize all the resources and stay, because their combos, it's not quite 1-card combos. They require some extra discards, for example.
Yeah, specifically without the link monsters as well. That kind of limits how powerful Jehuti can be. And I think just having a glimpse in RIO's hand, it looked like there was a Darklord contact there, which is probably one of the best ones you can get as a starter. But as you already mentioned, it also looks like a Darklord dance. So, yeah, RIO's definitely not going to be activating anything more during JANOS' turn. So it's now going to be down on JANOS to see how much pressure he can put on his field. And it does look like we are building up quite a lot of steam here, getting the Prime Monarch in the graveyard. Again, another card that has been utilised since the structure decks came back way back when. Looks like we're setting 1 card that has been guaranteed, and now we are going to possibly pass here over to RIO. He's just checking if there's anything in the graveyard there to be utilised, which I don't think there is. I believe it was a Nasten in the graveyard, which isn't bad. And we're starting off with the Banishment. Very, very good card on this one, so it allows you to search any Darklord card from the deck to the hand. I wonder if he goes Ixchil for the draws, or if he goes Jehuti for the guaranteed summon, depending on what he might fear.
To get Ixchil, discard the dance and pray that you draw something good, right?
Which is a bit risky, but it also depends on what RIO drew for turn as well. If he's able to hold on to that dance can still be quite useful if it was an Aston that was discarded, because that dance then becomes the fusion monster, which is still very, very powerful for the strategy as well, giving you access to the Evening Star.
I think in this scenario, you need to go for Ixchil and pray for some 2 good draws, right? I mean, RIO is definitely debating between these, if I can tell from his body language, but dance, you cannot afford to wait for such long.
Yeah, so it looks like it's Herald of the Orange Light, which kind of confirms the dilemma a little bit more here, because if the Ixchil does not yield you anything, you're probably going to be going into game 3, and he's going to go for the Golgollet. Ooh, okay. That's interesting. We're going to use the dance.
And in order to... because we are utilizing a Darklord fusion.
Yeah.
And we also can banish from the graveyard. And Evening Star will be summoned.
Yeah, so with Evening Star resolving here, we're going to get a Rebellion, and we're probably going to get a Contact on this one. And then this is where the resource can really ramp up from RIO, because now RIO has the ability to... it won't be able to use Contact yet because there's no Darklords in the graveyard, but you can use Evening Star to try and replicate. And it looks like we use Twin Twisters. Wow, okay.
And I think that's a game.
Very good. Is there anything... Yeah, because so JANOS still has Prime Monarch, and he'll still get the recursion, there we go, of Eidos. So we're going to replicate the Banishment, which is going to get us a search. What do we go for here? Do you just hold on to the... I would probably go for maybe a Golgollet, and then you hold on to the Golgollet. You use your Evening Star to deal with the Eidos. Prime Monarch probably comes back to the field, so that JANOS has that resource that he needs. And then you've still got the Rebellion set up, you've still got the Contact set up. Okay, we're going to go for Jehuti. This is also another good start as well. Also kind of comes down to what he sided out. Knowing that you're going second, maybe you side out some of the cards you would normally... So he's eyeing up the Indulged. Is he going to give his opponent the Golgollet again?
And in the end, Twin Twister, it may have obviously interrupt with RIO, but at the end we still have the Evening Star.
Yeah.
In order to utilize any card that was destroyed.
We're going to make
sent to the graveyard.
Rank 4?
Minerva again? Yes.
Yeah. What are we trying to... I'm curious as to what we want to try and hit here, because you've already utilized Golgollet. No, we haven't used Golgollet yet. But we've only got one left in the deck. Minerva and Hope. But we're still in a good position here. Oh, okay. Not the ideal ones you want to see, but it did send a Contact. Banishment, and the Banishment can be utilized.
Yes, and in the end we just give more resources for Evening Star to have.
Yeah.
If we can find another trap, for example.
Okay.
We will attack.
Yeah, Golgollet's going to get the search. Interesting how it's kind of swung back the advantage now to RIO. So RIO getting the Morning Star, which is going to attempt to set up the first of the Darklords during his opponent's turn, which is actually quite good because it will clear off all the monsters that JANOS has. So I think they're just kind of confirming what's been done here. We've already used Evening Star, so we can't replicate again. And I think they're just confirming the 1,000 life points that have been used. It's also up by an additional 1,000 as well because of Dance. Dance gives it an additional 1,000, which is quite good actually, because it turns your first Darklord into a 5,000 attack monster and your Evening Star into a 4,000 attack monster, which is a lot harder for the Monarchs to deal with.
And do you have any card in hand from JANOS' side?
Nothing left in JANOS' side, so he has Prime in the graveyard.
Only in the graveyard resource, right?
Correct, yeah. We're drawing 2 off of Ixchil.
And we have Herald to deal.
Yeah. We're going to use Jehuti, so this is going to allow us to recycle one of our Darklord cards. We're going to go for contact. It looks like Rio's going not for game here, but he's trying to set up a field that just will not be pushed through easily. So we're getting back the Yugioh. Yugioh can now pay off as on life points to replicate. I'm trying to think if there's any cards in there he would want to replicate. Maybe the Banishment again to get an additional search, but maybe we just hold off.
We didn't activate the effect of Fixel in the first place, right?
Not in the first place. We've used the Shield to discard because we added it off of Indulged Darklord when we gave our opponent the Gulgullet. And it looks like Rio's going to try and pass this across now, and we're going to see the Prime Monarch resolve, getting that monster onto the field. And then the Prime Monarch just gives you that tribute fodder that you need. It's also kind of a nice defensive wall as well sometimes.
This is one of those cards that really keep coming back and back and back, and you find a very hard time to deal with.
Okay, so we're drawing for turn on this one. Oh, okay. I think it's E for the Heavenly Monarch. It's the bigger Monarch that you kind of want. It just kind of comes down to if we can get another monster onto the field, and I can't remember what exactly is in the graveyard there. It looks like there is 2 of the Squires, which actually isn't so bad, I don't believe. Just have a look at which ones we've got. So, while Eidos is in the graveyard, you get to add this card to the hand or special summon it if you tribute a monster with 2,400 attack. But then the Squire, if it's sent to the graveyard, which it won't be. Yeah, so I don't think the Squire is going to be coming back. I don't think there's another monster that can come back. I think it is.
And we just passed, yeah.
Okay.
I think right now Rio has everything that he wants in the hand already, meaning that you just keep Herald with a potential discard, so there is nothing in the hand yet you can be scared of, and you just need to deal with a Prime that will potentially come back to prevent an attack.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're going to see here. As long as you can make your Eden Star resolve and do direct damage, that should probably be game here, but we're going to go for the Yugioh to draw for 2 more.
I mean, it's free, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Why not?
Oh, super duper polymerization and a Ghost Ogre. Not that that's going to be doing exact amounts now, but we're going to use Jehuti to grab back the contact. Contact will possibly be utilized to specialize back a Darklord monster, but it only specializes back to defense, which is quite important, unless Rio's going to overlay both those Yugiohs into a rank 10.
I think that it's already game, since Prime can also come back, but we still have the effect of Evening Star with all the targets in the graveyard that we can utilize them. For example, Rebellion.
So Rebellion's just been put back for Yugioh already, because we just used that to get rid of the Prime Monarch the first time. But you are right, we can go into the first Darklords to try and destroy the Prime again. So we're going to attack with Yugioh. I suppose with JANOS though, is he takes the Yugioh, he takes the Minerva, and then on the Morningstar you bring back the Prime to take that last hit. And I think there's 2 more Monarch spells in the graveyard. Or is he just doing the maths on this one? 2, 5, 2. What's Minerva? Is Minerva 2, 4?
I remember 2-5, but
2-5. 2K.
2K?
Yeah, 2K. So at the moment, 4,500, and then you bring back the Prime. The Prime eats the 4,000 off of the back of the Evening Star.
We will activate the effect. Yes.
Replicate the dance. Yeah.
Why did we to destroy monster when we can fusion summon one more, right?
Yeah, but he has to use Morningstar. There's a Morningstar in the graveyard. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. Yeah, so you'd bring that back. That's going to be it's 5,000 or 6,000 attack itself. Just attack, and then that's going to be it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's game.
Very well piloted there from Rio. You can see the power of the Herald cards now. The fact that they are premium hand interactions. I like the fact that they can only be utilized in fairy decks. I think that makes them very limited, which is quite good. But they are just very, very powerful for the Darklord strategy. And then JANOS tried to navigate the best they could with the Monarchs themselves, but unfortunately just fell a little bit short. The herald of the green light probably being one of the MVPs of this duel right here. But congratulations to Rio. We've seen him in the UK Opens as well. He was at the UK Open Genesis event, and I believe he got top 4 at that one.